Continuing from the previous video where we talked about the scope, view, model, and data binding, we have few more terminologies that we need to understand. And in this video, we'll talk first about the template, compiler, and view. Now, template is another term that we use for the HTML file. You have seen the HTML files here. In our code, you have used this, the first HTML file. Now, this is the template. The second file, this is also a template. So the .html file that we have is a template. Now, you may be wondering, why have a new name if it is the same thing? The reason is there's a little change. In a template, we have some little more markup from AngularJS. So we call that as a template. When it is technically it's a HTML file, but we want to refer to it as a template because it has little more markup from Angular, some variables from Angular. So it's a template in the terminology. Okay. The other thing we want to understand is the compiler. This is strange because we are talking about a markup language or JavaScript. How do we have this compiler coming into picture? So let me explain this. When AngularJS starts an application, it parses and processes this new markup from the template, from this template that we have received using the compiler. So there is some processing going on. So I'll illustrate this. What we can do is think of that you have a server, okay, a server computer from where your .html files are served, okay, and say this is my .html. This is a template file, which means that it has some Angular in it. Okay, now if this file is sent over to the browser, okay, let me think that this is the browser. Okay, now in the browser you visit the URL and you get this my.html file. Now this HTML file has the regular HTML. I think I should show it behind the scene, like, because it's displayed in a different way. It has the regular HTML, and then it has some Angular stuffs. Okay, now the browser is not designed to understand Angular. It only supports HTML, it supports JavaScript, it understands CSS. So it can interpret these languages and make it in the way you want it. You can display images, variables, your bank account statement, other stuffs. It can be displayed here. But when it comes to Angular, there is some new stuffs in the code. So the browser will have to process it so that it can be displayed. Now that process of parsing means reading the file and processing it, looking into the Angular .js file that you included in your HTML, right? In the HTML file, you would have included Angular.js file. So this is the HTML file. Let me show this HTML file here. We have included the Angular min.js file. This is what is imported or included in your file. So it refers to this Angular.js file, and all this new stuff that is not JavaScript is compiled so that it can be finally rendered and displayed. The final rendered form, that means that has been compiled and is ready to be displayed. The loaded transformed, loaded means when it comes from the browser, it gets loaded, and then it is transformed, it is converted, it has converted its Angular concepts like model and the ng app, the terms that you use there, that has been transformed, and finally it is understood by the browser. That is called the view. The final thing that you see, that is in this illustration, the final thing that you see is the view. Okay, see, we'll cover a little more terminology in the next video.